Good morning. This is Numismatic Notes with Benjamin, and I have a very interesting video. I think I have a very interesting video for you today. It's unexpected. I was going through a box of notes that I didn't know that I had, and I realized that for some time now I have been saving all these notes I have that have been graffitied. I was motivated to do so by something here in the United States that is called short snorters, which are military signed banknotes that have sometimes been taped together, and every soldier in his unit will have signed, or they will get the presidents to sign, or they will get the notables to sign, and any and everybody to sign. They were brought home as souvenirs from the war, mainly World War II, but it's been a popular thing around the world from battlefields and from um, destinations and pretty much just people who have been sent to be somewhere at a base. And I have a number of these notes and I wanted to share them with you because sometimes they're just as simple as a signature, sometimes they're extremely racist according to the times, and sometimes they're just fascinating to behold. And I wanted to share them with you. There's no rhyme or reason to the order of these notes, but please take a look at these little short snorter autograph notes that I have to share with you today. The first note I want to share with you is, one of the Japanese invasion money banknotes. And on the back we have, "To Amy, I picked this up in New Guinea. June 25th, 1944, Roy." So, perhaps his girlfriend, perhaps his fiancée, perhaps a future wife, who knows? A nice little love note from New Guinea. This note not only impresses me because of its use, it's obviously been circulated, but it has the same little stamp stamped all over the front and all over the back, and it says Chesfield. And it says Chesfield right side up, upside down. It looks like somebody was testing their stamp out. Don't really know what that means. Something to do on a rainy day. Here's another Japanese invasion note. And on the back it says, "To Barton, I picked this up in New Guinea, June 25th, 1944, Daddy." I imagine that this came in the same holder with this note here. I don't know who Roy or Daddy are, but, I can imagine a father missing his family. From the European theater, we have a French banknote that simply says, "Worth 20 cents in our money." 20 cents in our money. Back to the Asian theater, we have a Japanese mainland 50 sen note that says, "Half of a yen. It is called 50 sen. Good during the war." Another military souvenir. Moving back to the European theater, we have an Italian lira military or allied military currency, and it says, "Good luck, May 14th, 1944, 11th Squadron." Back to Japan with another 50 sen that says, "Half of a yen. It is called 50 sen. Good during the war." Probably the same guy bought a whole bunch of those back to give out to his buddies as souvenirs of his deployment. This is a United States $2 bill, and it's from 1976, and I imagine it's just in here because somebody wrote a 30 on it. Sometimes you get a note that just has general graffiti. It doesn't really mean anything. That was probably one of those notes here. Back to a note from, it says Numia, so it must be a New Hebrides or a New Caledonia note, but it's overprinted on a French Indochine banknote. And here at the bottom it says J.W. Myers, November 11th, 1942. I have a couple of Myers notes. Now here's a note. I have no idea what it means. It wouldn't be from World War II. It would be maybe perhaps from the Vietnamese War. But we have a 20 dong. And over here we have a whole bunch of noise written over the watermark area. And I have no idea what it has to say. I'm going to make it bigger because if any of my fellow numismatists are Vietnamese, they might be able to read this and be able to tell me what it says. Let's move down to South America for the next one. We have a 10 something from Brazil. I feel so bad when I don't realize what some of these notes are. This is a 10 Cruzeiros, and on the front it says to Roger Watson from Taejong Chue. And I know that there is a large Korean population in Brazil. My own dear friend, almost my brother, lived in Brazil for about a decade. And so we have a Korean citizen giving a Brazilian banknote to a Western citizen. Pretty interesting, folks. This is a Philippine 5 peso, and it is from, where is it from? And of course, when I say where is it from, I mean what time is it from? It is a Victory Series 1966, or a Victory Series number 66 note. Not the best condition. It has been taped on both sides. Maybe it's been in an album before. But we have several people who signed it. We have a William across the top. On the side, we have a Louis K. Baker. We have a J.E. Kubila, or Kubilis. I don't know. It's interesting. It might be nice to do an internet search sometime. Here is a Luxembourgish 5 franc, and it simply says across the face of the Grand Duchess, 5 francs equal 10 cents. Fascinating. Still in the European theater, looks like it's from World War II. We have a 20 francs from Belgium. And in the watermark area, it simply says December 1945. Get this. So I imagine a soldier near the end of the war picked this up in Belgium. I like to think about my own grandfather who fought in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II and came home and then for the next 50 years never talked about it to us and kept a whole lot of grief to himself. Sometimes it makes me pissed off whenever I consider how ungrateful the modern world seems to be for American blood that it was shed on their behalf in a war. But I don't want to get too political. Here's a Japanese 10 yen that somebody just wrote the exchange rate on. 360 yen equals $1. Wow. So I could have gone back to this time period and bought a lot of yen and maybe came out a little bit ahead. This little 5-cent note from Japan just simply has the person's name, Sumi, written on it. Here's another Sumi note, this time on a 10 sen. Oh my gosh. This note actually tells where the user got it. This is a 50 cent again. And here it says Atsugi, Japan, March 23rd, 1944. Another Italian lira here with lots of names on it. We have Roland Matson. We have J.G. Springer, Martin Crowell, Clayton, unreadable, but maybe D something, Dellis or something. We have Henry W. Johnson. We have Victor Blancy. We have Robert L. Wood, Earl T. Martin. I'm going to have to look up some of these names and see if any of them are well-meaning names or well-known names. Welt McDonald, Ralph Chivers, and Scott Williams. If you know any of these people, let me know. That might be something to look into. Here's a 20 yen Japanese, signed by Clarence Mueller. And down here at the bottom, Robert B. M.O.U.E. That's what's the problem here. They had interesting handwriting back in the day. Very beautiful and trained, but not to my modern eye. Here's another Japanese 10 yen. And it has a Joanne Calley, so we actually have a lady who signed the top of it. Off here to the side, we have Honshu Island, so that must have been where this note was picked up. Perhaps in travels or in, I don't know, in a, what do they call it whenever you have leave, I guess, maybe? 31 March, 1954. And up here we have Nara, Japan. Maybe that's where they got this note. Here's another Japanese note, and it was signed by H.B. Hayward and Paul Talley. And then there's a little cartoon here that says, "It's a brim picture." I don't know what that means. I don't know if this was a cartoonist. I don't know what was going on. I've tried to look up this logo, and I've had no luck with it. But it's very interesting to me, one of the few cartoon notes I have. And we have a couple of other signatures on here that are hard for me to decipher. This note has an entire message on the back of it. It is a 1 yen note, and on the back it says, "For George Martz, the only yen he ever put in his pocket, Julian Hart." And Mr. Hart has signed several other notes. This is a little Ukrainian note, and it's a recent note, and it says, "Open heaven's gates of..." I don't even know. But here on the front it says, "Jesus Christ, King of something Elizabeth Tusk." This is a beautiful note, not just because of the face of the note, but because of the vignette of the train on the back. This is a beautiful one something from somewhere. 1917, but I apologize, my Eastern European is very poor. I imagine it's some sort of ruble or something, but it was signed by Mrs. Jack Gilbert, May 8th, 1947. Lots of luck. Perhaps this was a note given to a couple that just got married. Here's a little Indian rupee, and in pencil in the watermark is written, "Watermark here, hold to light." And on the back, when you hold it to the light, you see a watermark of the king. So that might be an interesting note to find out how much it is if I can somehow erase the pencil off. Here we have an Israeli 500 shekel. This is Baron Rothschild on this side here, and on this side here we have a note that says, "To my friend J.R. Bill Yee." Here is a note of the Shah of Iran, the Shah Pahlavi. And again, I have absolutely no clue what it says over the watermark. Maybe one of my friends might enlighten me and tell me what is on this watermark. Back to the Soviet Union, we have a 3 ruble with a nice vignette of some armed soldiers here on the left end and a 3 on the other. I believe this is a similar note that I've showed in an earlier video, but it was signed by Colonel Jack Thomas Gerbla. And on the other end it says Lieutenant Robbie Robertson, GFA. Here's the note I wish I knew better. It's from Italy, and it is a 50 lira. There's Romulus and Remus, and there's the wolf that nursed them. And we have a whole letter written here on the back of this note. And it says, "You must remember this." And at this point, I fall into song. "You must remember this. A kiss is just a kiss." But then you read on, and that's not at all what they're writing here. It says, "You must remember this. The task can't make somebody got to die. The odds are are always too damn high. Oh, as you go by, and when the light comes, you hope you're not done to something from the something. You are the some anyway, I'm sure it was very sincere and passionate, but they could have written it on the much paler back side of it. I don't really know. This is a neat note. It's from Australia, and it's a $1 note. But here's what's interesting about this note. This note doesn't have anybody's autograph on this side, but up here it says, Huru John Ray Tooley, Penny Mills, Torres Strait, Australia. So this is actually from the Torres Strait Islands region of Australia, and Ray Tooley probably still lives there along with Penny Miller or Penny Mills. But it's kind of an interesting note. I at least know what part of region this note has been in. We have another Japanese invasion note of a 5 peso, and it says Philippines Jap invasion money, 27th of April, 1945. So this tells me that this may have been in European hands because the United States tends to say April 27th, 1945, but maybe in this time period we were much more sophisticated with our dating. I don't know. But the use of the term Jap invasion in modern times would be considered somewhat racist in light of the new role that the Japanese have in modern society. But in this time, they were the enemy, and they were called Nips or Japs. It is what it is, people. I'm not going to begrudge a soldier who risked his life to fight for his country. Here we have a Cuban peso, and this Cuban peso is from 1960, so I don't know what war this could be from. It may have just been a visit to Cuba, and it says here, to my good friend Abby, for your prayers and support during my Cuban trip. JRT. This could very well have just been like a mission trip or something, and many times if you help sponsor somebody traveling to another country to do good work, with the people, things of that nature, one of the small gifts they might bring back is little banknotes. Here we go, another New Caledonia 50 centime. Another note signed by Mr. Myers. I showed you one of his earlier. Here at the bottom it's signed by J.W. Myers, November 11th, 1942. I have this note without writing in my collection, so I don't find that these autographed notes like this seriously cut into the interest or the value of the note. I'm just as happy to have these notes in my collection as a pristine note. Now here we have a banknote from the Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia, which is what the Nazis called when they came in and took over parts of Czechoslovakia. Pretty little note, but up here it says, souvenir of Czechoslovakia, worth 10 cents. Moving back to the Philippines, we have a 1 peso, and this is actually a treasury certificate. At this time, the United States had this as a possession, and prior to the war, there was a strong chance of them having become a state. That was to not happen because the war intervened, and well, it just never happened. Here on the back we have a great deal of writing, though. In addition to the overprint of victory, we have, honey, this is real Philippine peso. It's worth 50 cents in American money. We can show this to the children 20 years from now. I wonder if they ever did. November 5th, 1945, San Fernando Village, Luzon Island, northern part of the Philippines. I love you. Just warms my heart. You hope that this person was able to get home and give this love letter to his lover. And part of me is sad that families are giving this stuff up in a way, and the context of the notes are just completely disappearing. I'm trying not to get emotional here. Some of this stuff is so precious. Here's a Reichsmark from, I guess Germany. It's a 10, probably a mark or something. Yep, Reichsmark. And it says in the blank margin, Sergeant Ben Careth, COB G66 something right 66 Division. So there is a chance that I could find that person online and find out a little bit more about his military history. Back to Japan with a 10 yen. And in the margin of the back, we have this little message. Jap money taken on Okinawa by Tommy Bolander, USMC. So we have a note here that a Marine took on Okinawa. And based on the condition of the note, it's kind of creepy. Is this a bloodstain here? Are these bloodstains here? Did he pull this off of a soldier he had just killed? Or was it even later in the war after we had mastery of the island? I don't know. It haunts me, people. It haunts me. China. Chung something something Unhang. Maybe China Bank. I don't know. According to the Chinese here, reading it from right to left, it looks like we have 34 year. So add 11, 34. 1945. This is a 1945 banknote. And it's 1,000, whatever it is. Oh, look, we have a Chinese signature here. I have no clue what it says, though. I'm acting like I do. I don't. Signed here by Mickey Brennan, and signed over here by Bill Kennedy. So maybe a William Kennedy. Next note is from New Zealand, so I'm not sure that it's a war note or anything, but we have a bunch of graffiti on this note that says, Kia Oniohani, Kara Pendleton, Ralph, Anhani, Tilly Reedy, Tamiti Reddy, something something. I don't know. It sounds like maybe friends signed a note there. Moving on to Nepal, we have this little tiny Nepalese note here. And written here is to Santha, July 26, 1980, from Gopal. A lover's token. Back to China. And on the back of the note, no signatures, just somebody using the paper as a scrap paper to solve some math problems. Sad. It's a beautiful vignette, but somebody scratched paper. And this is a lovely little note. I think it's from Egypt. It's 5 piastres. And we have a message written on the back in the upper margin that says, Cairo. It says, Cairo, December 1941, equal to 20 cents. Back to France with this lovely little number. And in the watermark area it says, this isn't... Just a second, I got to see this closer. It says, this isn't common. Coins are used for 2, 5, 10, 20, 50 cents. Well, it's certainly common in this condition, though. The note's dated 43, so it had to have been after that, so perhaps inflation had a role in that. Let's move on to Italy for this 1,000 lira. And this graffiti that says something telephone 43160 something. Perhaps somebody just giving their phone number to a lover. Francisco. Maybe Francisco was wondering why they never got a phone call all these years later. Here's a US $5 bill. It's a series 1950. It is in pencil. And over here to the far right, it says November 29th, 1957. And over to the left, it says from Rob. So perhaps it was a birthday present. This note, when I got it, I just had to have it. It was from the Philippines. And over here in the watermark, it says, Henry So, Sun Valley, subs, para something or other. And it seemed to me like this person was looking for a pen pal. And if you turn it over, it says, wanted, pen pal. And there's the address right there. And I actually wrote this person at this address, even though it was probably 20 or 30 years old at the time. Never heard back from Henry So maybe he got his pen pal and didn't want another one. Don't know, but I kind of felt like I had to do that. We have another vertical note from China, and this is signed by a Captain M.I. Fang, which could very well be what the Chinese right next to the signature says. Captain Fang. Don't really know. But an interesting note nonetheless. Moving to Canada, we have a $1 from Canada. And we have over here to the right, we have a signature of a Sergeant in Bryony, maybe. And then we up here have a War. I don't know. It's very hard, people, to read some of these. This one says Sanders S. I don't know. These are the kind of notes you almost have to see in person to be able to do more research. And I honestly don't know what they all say. Moving on to Russia, this is just another basic graffiti. It looks to me like it says love, but it could be something else. For some reason, this person decided that this was something that they wanted to keep, so as the note decayed, they taped it up, which ultimately has destroyed the note, but, you know, makes you wonder just what was so meaningful about this little 5. And it says Tanapog Harbor, Saipan, Arthur Meeker, 7/9/1945. Here's a Pakistani note. And it says 1 rupee equals 28 cents. And then it says down here, Karachi, Pakistan, February 14th, 1957. I like this note. It has Yi Syngman to the left, and he was one of the first leaders of independent Korea post-World War II and post-Japanese. Had an Austrian wife. I don't know why I know that, but this is dated February 28th, 1951, and it looks like it says something E. Hamill, 114 something Street, Lawrence, Massachusetts, USA. So, a date and an address on a Bank of Korea 1001. Here's another Vietnamese note. I always liked these elephant notes, but the reason I kept this note, even in this condition, is this message here on the face of the note. And again, I hope that I have somebody who can read Vietnamese who can share with us just what somebody had to say in gorgeous print on June 12th, 1975 or 77 maybe. June 12th, 1977. Here's another French 2-franc Allied military currency. And it's signed by M.V. Buchanan, 75N776794. Maybe that's his phone number. Another Korean note, this one an 01. And up here we have Hanguk Unhengwon, Bank of Korea, and it's signed by Julian Hart, another person who has signed a number of the notes I showed you today. Moving on to Italy, we have 1,000 lira with the great traveler himself, Marco Polo, and somebody just writing 50 on the note. Not too imaginative, maybe means nothing. Here's another Korean banknote with a Kobuksan, or a turtle boat here. This is a Shipon. So that means It is a 10-1, and there is a mass of signatures on the back of this note. This note would be somewhat pricey if it didn't have all this graffiti on it. And it says it's Raymond Woodhouse. And then down here on this side we have Joe Espinza or Joe Espinga. And then we have Donald Tope, Robert Bonner, Reverend Rodsenbaugh, Robert O'Chesham, Thomas Luce. I'm just making up some of this, guys. J. Fullerton. Can't read half of it, but very interesting note nonetheless. Moving on to another little Philippines note. These notes you see in much better condition than this. I can almost envisage this tucked in the shoe of a little boy on his way to the ice cream shop. Ugh, now I'm going to have to go sanitize my hands. But here on the back it says, Pen Pal, Conrado Agustin, Elwood Street, Pump Station, Tete Rizal. I hope this young man got his little pen pal. I just have a few more notes to show you. Thank you for bearing with me. This is one of my longer videos. But we have here another Japanese banknote. You can tell it's Japanese by the chrysanthemum symbol up here at the top of the note. And on the back it actually says Nippon Ginko. And all it says is 1 yen. This kind was good before the war. Here's a Japanese 10 yen. And up here at the top it says Joseph Newsham, or Newsham, Joseph Newsham. Another Japanese note. One Primor Jap dollar. Again, soldiers are the main ones that brought these notes to the United States, and soldiers everywhere are known for being salty. It is what it is. The final note I have to share with you with graffiti on it is a Bank of Mexico, 1 peso. I love these old notes that have these gorgeous renditions of archaeological treasures of Mexico. This, in this case, the sunstone, with the gaping mouth in the middle where they used to shove the heart after they cut it out of your still beating heart getting cut out of your chest. This is from the war. It looks like it's January 17th, 1945. And here on the back, it says Bernard Reichel here at the top. And here it says phone 57919, and his office number is 57831. And I guess his address must be 2424 Savannah,